the person to get information on the information regarding current business process in this organization. We have 10 person that operate the data center and 30 persons that related with the data center. It means they have the task to study, plan, and budgeting the DC. And then 102 persons that associate with the DC. It means they are the frontline associated the services and facing the end user. The tabulate the percentage of response as follows. This is service is very important. Risk management is very important. Performance achievement can be seen from how many clients the service provided. This is important to have a continuity to ensure that their product always available based on the customer. Then we have the fair set and we have the 3 factors for successful in manage the risk in DC. Fair set is environment, technology, process, and people. And then our DC services is hosting, location, network, programming, database, security, IT, integration, and DC operation. Yes, and the challenge is how to plan and direct and improve the DC. This is Ishikawa diagrams that fancy tools at their problem. However, technology is only as effective as the processes utilizing it, and what environment we put the people who handle it. That's why direct plan and improvement is very important. The line between strategy and operational execution on how to be directing our planning with the continual improvement. As we can see, the varies from the 4 elements using this Ishikawa diagram. We have identified to measure risk from the environment side relating to supply continuity and this population area. Where the risk of the supply continuities of electricity, sometimes the electricity payments get a problem because regulated by the other division. This is wrong. It should be under the DC management itself. And the other hand, the DC is located near the densely populated area, which is a high risk of crime and riot, and also risk posed by a fire because it's a nervy slum environment. Coming from the technology side is we have 4 identified elements of the risk is relating to maintenance. It's more on support and some activity is not budgeted well. Just follow how much budgeted they have. And then non-standard issue is more application with using different platform and unable to integrate with current application. Silo environment is very hard to manage, and organization have put some priority on how to manage this issue because the main goal is how all the data and information can be integrated and centralized. The last one is about capacity. um, still become an issue regarding the storage capacity should be planned um, during the procure process and also monitor the status frequently. The best is to get alarm when the usage is above the threshold. Uh, Next, in the process side, we have uh, to reach program continuity and control change. From the program continuity, if the risk is regarding policy, most of the time is still based on the direction which is already on the master plan and roadmap. Another risk is about control change. It's hard to manage because no specific job for controlling the change in DC. That's why DC must have its own organization. The last is people. It's important to ensure the people to ensure the team consists of the right people and with the right skill, experience, and attitude to help the organization solve the problem. The situation here is still lack of commitment with no regeneration and unclear career path. It caused the role confusion, duplication effort, a specific role on who can access the system. Not everybody still can access as long they have a password. Once again, technology needs human. The synergy of the talent, the top talent, and top technology is crucial. So we need to make sure the organization ready with the people and process. Then technology will follow to help addressing the organization need. As you can see, after this is identified, the next action is to do the analyze of the risk level. The way risk level identified is by understand the likelihood and the impact of a potential risk and the result. We know which risk has low, medium, high, and very high level. Then what is impact of the risk? Impact are often defined as the consequence or effect in the risk. This is a slide of the risk effect. And then we can inherent risk that we see the risk level and risk effect that show in the figure. This is estimate the potential losses associated with an identified risk. From this chart, we can see which risk has serious and also disaster impact that cause the major problem for DC on delivering the services to the end user. With the probability value, the impact value is determined by action or response risk as product, the probability and impact of the risk. Finally, we are able to determine the inherent risk with the risk that absence in control DC right now. Based on data previous slide, we can see here there are the risks that appear on this triangle. The highest on the risk is on the bottom, and we'll continue with the middle and the list, and the last is the one of the top bottom of this triangle. So the recommendation is to prioritize the list with the highest rank, which is the one at the bottom. And then recommendation will be part of the conclusion of this journal. So the conclusion is the risk that is considered to have the greatest impact on delivery is the absence of life at the DC CKS. Thus, life is a structural organization of the data center. This actually become the basis for the operational functioning of the DC services, and assure will be run smoothly. With the existence of the organizational structure, the manage all existing risks can be reduced or even eliminated. To achieve this, the recommendation of the study is encourage the IT Committee to provide regulation and policies in the ICT based on their authority. Okay, this is our presentation. Thank you for time and your attention. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Pak Budi Haryanto, for the presentation. And because the time has reached the limit, so I think once again we invite the question to Pak Budi Haryanto directly. Is that okay, Pak? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Now let me take a picture of you, Pak, in okay. Are you ready, Pak? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you, Pak Budi, for the presentation.
Thank you, man.
Okay, now let's move to the next presentation. Pak Rahmat Yunianto seems to be very, very ready. So without delaying any further, let's welcome Bapak Rahmat Yuniarto presenting the paper entitled Performance Analysis of Multipath Deployment in Software-Defined Wide Area Network, SDWAN. Pak Rahmat Yuniarto, the floor is yours.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity that is given to us to present our work. My name is Rahmat Yuniarto. I'm from University of Indonesia. And today I would like to share our paper with the title Performance Analysis of Multipath Deployment in a Software-Defined Wide Area Network, or SD-WAN. This is co-author with Mrs. Riri Fitrisari. This is my outline today. I want to talk about the background of the research, and then about the research purpose, and then about the scenario experiment. The next is the results, and the last is about the conclusion. About the wide area network, or WAN. Wide area network is a network that can connect the nodes across a different geographic area. It can be connected in different cities, province, different island, or maybe even in different country. As we know that most enterprise has branch offices that locate usually in separate geographic area. So they need the wide area network to connect their branch office between their branch offices, their branch office to headquarters, or the branch office to their data center. And as digital technology has become a major important key in industry, so business process in branch office rely on the application and their data center. So they need the high availability and reliability of one infrastructure to guarantee the critical application to meet their requirement. To achieve the high ability in one infrastructure, one of technique that they can do is to deploy the redundant links or multi-links. But some challenge in building the redundant links, such as a bandwidth limited and then the high cost of MPLS link. As we know that MPLS cost is higher than other technology, and then the active and standby configurations. The common of multi-link network is configured in traditional one is configured as active and standby modes. That's been the secondary link will only be used in case the occurrence of failure in the primary link. So it's raise some issues. The first is the underutilization in the backup link. Because when there is no failure in the primary link, so the utilization in the secondary link will be low or maybe at zero. And then the congestion or high latency in the primary link will never trigger even if the secondary link has the better performance, because the failover depend on the routing protocol. So when the communication between the router is still established, the route is still in the primary link, so it can cause the performance degradation during the connection. And then the software-defined wide area network or SD-WAN come up with the new approach to building one infrastructure based on the software-defined network concept. That's offer some centralized management to simplify network management. There are some benefits. The first is about the centralized management. As we know, that's SDN. There's a separate control plane and data plane. Data plane is distributed while the control plane is centralized. The second is about lower cost and high bandwidth. The SD-WAN is allow us to build the one connection with the internet links, whether it is a dedicated link, a broadband, or even in 3G or 5G network. The tunnel through the internet links can be established to provide the internet connection, intranet connection, to provide the intranet connection. The next benefit is improvement performance. This is regarding the prioritization or QoS. Then the next is enable the cloud usage. In SD-WAN, you can make it easy to build the communication with the other public cloud services. And then the research purpose. This research is aimed to analyze the performance in multi-path deployment in software-defined wide area network architecture in terms of throughput, delay, and packet loss in branch offices. In this paper, we did the experiment using the simulation of one topology with multi-links. We used the RIU controller and Mininet to build the simulator. RIU controller is as SD-WAN controller, and a Mininet is deployed as a data plane switch and a virtual host. And we do the simulation in SD-WAN architecture with additional link monitoring application in top of SD-WAN or SDN controller. We measure the throughput, jitter, and packet loss when there is a congestion in link. This is the simulation scenario where we set up the simulation. The topology is in here. There is a MPLS link, internet link, and then branch office to headquarter. We set up the simulation topology using the virtualization environment that represent the topology between branch office to headquarter. So this is our virtualization environment. We use 6 VM in here, and there is a VM2 as a headquarter. There's a switch 1, H1, and H2. There's also 2 links represented by VM5 and VM4. This is for PLS link and internet link. So this, and the next is headquarters. This is a bridge. This is the headquarters. Sorry, and then the VM1 is SDN controller, or we use the RU controller as SD1 controller, and then we add the additional link monitoring. This VM is used to monitor the link head between APLS and internet links, and then it can communicate it with a RU controller. If there is a high packet loss or high latency, they can select the best path bit communication with SDN controller. This is in our experiment. We did two experiments. In the first scenario about the throughput measurement, we measured the aggregate throughput in best offices for a single link and a multi-link, which for bandwidth in each link is 10 Mbps. It was test for a single user, 2 concurrent user, and 4 concurrent user. And the second scenario, we measured the performance in case of congestion in a link. We analyze the performance regarding the jitter, packet loss, and in an SD1 architecture with additional link monitoring application in top of RU controller. We conduct the experiment by sending the UDP traffic from to the host in branch from headquarters for 100 seconds, and from 20th until 50th second and 70th until the finish, we flooded the primary link to simulate the link congestion. And then we measure the packet loss and jitter that's received by a user in branch offices. And the throughput and the result is as follows. For the throughput measurement, as we can see in the graph, the throughput is close to the bandwidth data available, that is 10 Mbps. And then for multi-user, bandwidth is shared among the active user, as we can see, and for two concurrent user, bandwidth is around 5 Mbps, and for user concurrent user is around 2 until 3 Mbps. And then for in the multi-link, total throughput is close to the aggregate bandwidth of two link, that is 20 Mbps. That is twice higher than in single link. Okay, but except for a single link, its maximum throughput is only 10 Mbps because a flow from the user can only use cannot split to different paths. Okay, and this is the result for performance in congestion. As we can see in the graph, whether in the jitter or packet loss, when in the blue line, without the link monitoring application enable, high jitter and high packet loss is as long as a congestion time. We know in the blue line is as long as congestion time. But when with the link monitoring application, the high jitter and high packet loss is lasting only a few seconds, is around or less than 5 seconds. Then there is the conclusion. In a multi-link in wide area network is important to increase the network performance in branch offices. The active multipath links can provide the total throughput higher than the topology that is configured as active and standby modes. So we can optimize the link utilization in active and active multi-link. In SD1 architecture, an application can be added to SDN controller to additional functions such as link monitoring and path selection in our experiments. Link monitoring will detect the congestion in link and then send message to controller for rerouting to the better link performance. So it's will improve the performance for the user in branch. Maybe that's all that I can share. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Rahmat Yuniarto. for the presentation of performance analysis of multi-phase deployment in software-defined wide area network. We still have time. Maybe we can invite one question for Mr. Rahmat Yuniarto, please. Any question for? No question? Okay. So I think I need to take your picture, Pak. Can you move down your camera screen for a bit? Yes, good. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much, Pak Rahmat Yuniarto.
Okay,
Thank you for the presentation as well.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's move to next presentation by Ibu Nurul Aini from University of Indonesia, presenting a paper entitled Method Comparison for Increasing Data Rate on 5G IoT Technology. Ibu Aini.
Thank you, Ms. Yanti. I will share my screen now.
Sure.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to attend this conference. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Nurul Aini. Currently, I'm a graduate student of electrical engineering, majoring in telecommunication and radar engineering at University of Indonesia. Thank you for the chance. It's an honor for us to present our paper at 2021 International Conference on Artificial Intelligence and Computer Science Technology. My paper is Method Comparison for Increasing Data Rate on 5G IoT Technology, written by us, Nurul Aini, and Insinyur Gunawan Wibisono, MSc PhD. The outline for today's presentation consists of first introduction, and then briefly about non-orthogonal multiple access or NOMA, and then we are going to cooperative NOMA, sweep NOMA, and then simulation, and then closing with conclusion and future work. First introduction, in the following years, 5th generation communication will be fully deployed and accessed by many people. 5G will give high impact for developing Internet of Things, as 5G can give high reliability and low latency. 5G can give magnificent impact to telecommunication technology. It can be used for many sectoral applications, and each application of the sector also needs different requirement of technology in 5G. One thing that is needed is data rate. In our reference, data rate needed is up to 1,000 times from 4G technology. Another resource also write that 5G will need data rate around 100 Gbps with minimum 1 millisecond latency. And it will also need a better life and capacity of the user. The current development of the telecommunication industry is so rapid and has brought us to IoT technology. The problem that arises because of the rapid growth is the limited spectrum use. Several previous studies have been conducted to address spectrum limitation. The 5G network is considered a communication network that can provide high capacity and high-speed data transmission. Non-orthogonal multiple access, or we can call it NOMA, is considered a promising multiple access technology because it can drastically increase spectrum efficiency on cellular communication networks. NOMA adopts a superposition code on the transmitter to allocate different user signal power to the same subchannel, even though in the same subchannel, according to the algorithm, This makes the signal power of each user is different. We can see from the figure 1 the difference between comparison between OMA and NOMA. We can see that OMA is divided by frequency or times, and then NOMA is divided by power. The advantage of NOMA compared with OMA is, first, NOMA can improve spectral efficiency and cell edge throughput. In NOMA, resource of time and frequency are served non-orthogonally, or means the transmission don't have influence on each other. Because in NOMA, it's divided by power, as we can see in figure 1. And then NOMA also support massive connectivity. NOMA can connect multiple users at the same time, and there is no strict limitation on orthogonal resource availability because NOMA is can support multiple users because it's divided by power. And then the third one is low transmission latency and signaling cost. We can see at the figure 2, this is the diagram of downlink NOMA with 2 users. User 1 here is doing SIC as the strongest user, which has more power to recognize user 2 signal as interference. So as the power is more than user 2, user 1 can do SIC or successive interference cancellation. We are going to the next one, cooperative NOMA. So NOMA has multiple access that support 5G can combine with many technologies to support the system. We can also find cooperative NOMA is being researched frequently, and the idea of cooperative NOMA is required 2 time slot for the transmission. We can see a figure 2. The first one for the direct transmission phase, and the second one become the cooperative phase. So user 1 can also share the information signal to user 2. The advantage of cooperative NOMA than the conventional one is it has low system redundancy. So cooperative combined with NOMA, so the weak signal can be modulated and transmitted back from the node closer to the destination to base station. As with SIC, the information is already decoded to the strong one. And then the second one is better fairness because the weak signal reliability is improved. So the transmission fairness is enhanced. The third one is higher diversity gain. It can improve the diversity gain for the weak NOMA user. We can also see the overall diagram scheme of cooperative NOMA at figure 3 here. And then simultaneous wireless transmission, or we can call it sweep NOMA. Information signal in sweep NOMA can be used for energy harvesting. What is energy harvesting? Energy harvesting is process to change energy earned from the external source such as wind, thermal, kinetic, and solar energy that change to electrical energy. In here, energy harvesting is doing from base station from user 1. So energy harvesting here allows secondary user to recharge themselves. On the scheme, we see that user 1 is recharge itself via radio frequency signal directed to the user from the source node and then convey or transmit the information. Energy harvesting can use by time switching protocol or power splitting protocol. As we can see that NOMA is power divided, so usually the research is going for power splitting protocol. Time switching protocol is a transmission period to 2 time slot. Okay, we are going to the simulation used in this section. So the simulation are carried out for the NOMA technology with the parameter listed on the table, and the simulation will be already held in Rayleigh fading with mean 0 dB. Parameters are used to calculate the capacity or achievable data rate of user with different SNR, power transmission value from 0 to 40 dB and varying the value of the power allocation coefficient. The simulation has been done by comparing the capacity sum total with the given power transmission value. We can see that the sum total capacity versus SNR for perfect CSI is plotted in figure 5 until figure 8. On the next slide, the results show that capacity increased with the increase of SNR. From the figure 5 here, we can see that both transmit power is increased as the average of achievable rate is increased. Both scheme is need more power to do energy harvesting. But we can see that sweep NOMA has a higher achievable data rate than sweep OMA. And then on figure 6 here, we can see that achievable data rate and SNR from sweep NOMA and sweep OMA. We can see that the cooperative NOMA is achieve better achievable data rate than non-cooperative NOMA and OMA itself. The parameter used in this simulation is the same with the previous one. We can see that simulation on figure 7 so that achievable data rate NOMA is changed with the variation of power allocation factor, show that value 0.8 achieve higher data rate than the other. Why the power allocation shows a change in the figure 7? Because it will connect to the next research we are doing. And then the figure 8 here is the graphic comparison between NOMA, OMA, and sweep NOMA. And we can see that sweep NOMA achieve much higher than the conventional NOMA and OMA. So this paper is already, this research already provided comparison method to increase data rate in 5G IoT communication. There are technologies such as NOMA, sweep, and cooperative NOMA. We think that the technology is the answer for increasing data rate with spectrum limitation and energy efficiency needed with the help of optimization and algorithm method. So many aspects can improve for the better performance. The challenge in the future will be how to combine all the technology to achieve the best, the most improved achieve data rate and energy efficiency. From the simulation comparison in this paper, we thought that sweep NOMA achieved the biggest data rate because it's combined all the three methods. So sweep NOMA is also doing energy harvesting and also can relying like cooperative. In the future work, our intention is to extend this paper to work on relation of data rate and power for each user equipment and how to optimize both data rate and power usage. Thank you, and that's all for my presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Ibu Aini, for the presentation. We still have time, so we invite one question for Ibu Aini, please. No question? Okay. If there's no question, so let me take a picture of Ibu Aini, ya, Bu.
Sure.
Okay. Are you ready, Bu?
Ready, Bu.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, thank you for the wonderful smile. Thank you, Ibu Aini.
You're welcome, Bu.
Okay, let's move on to the next presentation by Mr. Sebastian Avatamani Tay. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken in mentioning your name, addressing your name, with a paper entitled Experimental Investigation of Visible Light Communication Coverage in Vehicle-to-Vehicle Application. Mr. Sebastian, the floor is yours.
Okay, one moment, please.
Yes.
The screen. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yeah, Crystal.
Okay, great. Hello, my name is Sebastian Avătămăniți, like you said.
Okay.
Okay, and the name of my work is experimental investigation of visible light communication coverage in vehicle-to-vehicle application. Okay, what are the visible light communication? Visible light communication represent a fast developing wireless communication technology which simultaneously uses the visible light in illumination and data transmission. Okay, like any another communication technology, it has an emitter, a receiver, and the channel between them. When we talk about visible light, we need to say to specify the environment because it's very different. When you have the visible light communication indoor, you don't have too much noise, but when you talk about visible light communication outdoor, you need to pay attention for the some noise sources so annoying sometimes, like the sun lighting or something like this. Okay, like I said, the visible light communication is a new type of technology. Practical the development of the LEDs allow us to develop this kind of new technology. Why? Because the LEDs are highly reliable, energy efficient. They have a low maintenance constant. Maybe the most important thing for this kind of technology, they are rapid switching. Okay, today we have the LEDs in almost of the lighting or signaling systems, also in the infrastructure systems, vehicle infrastructure. Okay. On the right side, okay, I'll put here. On the right side, I have the diagram schematic of our system. Like you said, how you can see on the visible light emitter, we have a microcontroller, the switch driving, and the lighting source. It can be commercial traffic light, or maybe the headlight or the rear lights. It doesn't matter. Important is to be LEDs. Okay, on the receiver, the system is more complicated because it's somehow difficult to do visible light communication on the outdoor conditions. Okay, so as you can see, we have optical filter, sometimes also the reject. We have lens. The detector, it's in almost of the cases photodiode PIN, but can be used also special camera, let's say. Okay, we have filters, amplifier, again, amplifier, and on the end, we use it trigger Schmidt to reshape the form of the signal. Okay, after that, the microcontroller board processing all this signal and recover the information after it decoding and demodulation, this kind of signal. Okay. To say so as part of our investigation, first step was to determine the vehicle light irradiance. Sorry. On the right side, on the left side, we have the testing scenario. Use it on this experimental evaluation. Practical, we have a standard car, and we measure the irradiance of brake light and tiling light from point to point. Yeah, also we note this value. Okay, the results of irradiance distribution. You can see in these pictures. Yeah, as you know, the brake lights are highly than the tiling lights, and it's not surprising us. Actually, not surprising anyone. So after this step, we try to evaluate this scenario when the front car send information to the car from rear it. For example, in this scenario, this car send information also for this one and this one. Yeah, it's important here the geometry of the any situation. The evaluation of this irradiance help us to understand what is the limit of the station of the distance, and also the angle between these cars, because when we talk about optical reception, we have a problem also with the angle from this one, this car. Okay. After we evaluate the irradiance distribution pattern and the influence of the incident angle on the quality of the visible on the vehicle-to-vehicle visible light link, we tested this new data. We achieved it on this process. So on the testing, the most important thing and the most relevant, let's say, was the reception in this kind of condition. Like I said, we have different distance between emitter and receiver, and different angles, depends of the lane of the car simulated with our system. Okay, here we see this is the signal from the photodiode. Okay, like you see, we have a very small signal. The amplitude of the signal is yeah, too small, and sometimes we have here a lot of noise, and it's very difficult to recover the signal. Here is after some amplification and after the band pass. And yeah, also here again, it's that amplification, what I said in the first or the second slide, I don't know. It's this automatic gain control. And in the end, with the trigger Schmidt, like you see, we reshape the form of the signal. And yeah, now it's easy for the microcontroller to analyze the signal received. Okay, here I want to show you the form of the signal in different, on the different distance, on the different land bands, let's say. Okay, here Evan is the same distance between emitter and receiver, 4 meters, like you see. The signal here, it's more, the amplitude of the signal here, it's more bigger than here, like you see, because it's a different lane. Here is, let's say, face to face, and here is longitudinal, adjected lanes. So, like I said, the angle between emitter and receiver is so important, and this oscilloscope print screen show us when the distance is bigger, like here, you don't have too much difference, because in this kind of geometry, it's not so different when the car, when the distance from this car is higher than let's say 30 meters. Okay, after we analyze the signals and the influence of the angle and the distance, we made also the bare bit error rate, and we analyze it with the distance. Like I said, when the distance is small, on the first step we have some problem, but after the distance is increased, this kind of problem disappear, and it's almost the same. It doesn't matter the land band. Okay. Like I said, the bare results show us the manner in which the vehicle misland influence the performance of vehicle to vehicle. Confirm that the optical lens, optical filter, and adequate signal processing reduce the effect of the misland. We use it special lens to help us. And like I said, the longitudinal intervehicle distance is increasing, the incident angle received decrease, and the effect of the misling is mitigated. Okay, this test show us the ability of the system to communicate for a distance up to 50 meters. The ability to provide the bare as low as 10 to minus 7, or 10 at minus 6. I don't know if it's correct in English, but I don't remember now exactly how to say it. Okay, in the miscellaneous condition, the minimal communication distance is determined by the VSC receiver field of view. And I think this is these are the most important conclusion. Also the vertical, yeah, it's about this link. Okay, thank you for attention, and please ask me if you have any questions about this paper.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sebastian Afata Manite from Stefan Selmar University of Sociava Roman. Once again, I'm sorry because we have a very limited
Don't
time.
worry, not any problem. It's enough if you say Sebastian, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Mr. Sebastian. And we invite you to lead direct the questions to Mr. Bastian if you have the curiosity about the paper. Can you stop the screen share so I can take a picture of you, please?
Yes, but it's here. Okay.
Yeah.
Usually I use Google Meeting and and I don't know too much.
Okay.
Zoom.
And is it okay if the participants would like to contact you to
yes, sure.
for some question?
Okay. Yeah, please.
Okay. Ready? 3.
Yes, ready.
2, 1, go. Thank you very much, Mr. Sebastian. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, let's now move on to the next presentation by Bapak Rizky Hidayat Prasetyo from the University of Indonesia, presenting the paper entitled Modified Configurations of Array Antenna and Microstrip Broadband Lens for Multi-Beam Forming Purpose. Bapak Rizky Hidayat.
Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Why we cannot see the whole slide of yours?
Oh yeah.
It's cut. Ah, okay, good.
Okay. I hope you all in good condition. So today I am going to present to you about our research about modified configurations of array antenna and microstrip broadband lens for multi-beam forming purpose, which is done by me, Rizky, and Eko Ciptoro Harjo from the Department of Electrical Engineering, Universitas Indonesia. Okay, maybe you are not familiar with the title, so I want to introduce you some basic knowledge about beamforming first. So you know, if you use antenna, there are some kinds of radiations which is produced by the antenna. Some kind are like this. It is this omnidirectional dipole, which the radiation is covering almost all the direction, and then directional, and the example of the directional beam is like this. This is the tower of base station for 4G. You know, this beam cover some direction, some large direction, and this is beamforming. I'm sorry, this is multi-beam, where there are so much beam which can be radiated by antenna. So, and this advantage of the multi-beam is that you can make so many dedicated communication between user and base station and extra. And you know, multi-beam forming has achieved more and more attention in recent decades, because yeah, it's not only used in communication but also in radar communication, and you know, about health imaging. Even in health imaging, you can use some researcher use Rothman lens as the the multi-beam forming for the multi-beam forming purpose. So to do that, we need some beamforming networks. So you may remember that the radar usually in the movies usually illustrated to direct you know, to always rotating, but in recent research, there are some techniques how to make the radar still not moving, but the radiation can move, so you can, you know, what is it, scan so broad direction. So how to do that? There are some techniques to be used. The mechanism to direct the beam, you can use the delay line or phase shifter or Rothman lens. The delay lens usually using microstrip line networks. There are there are Nolan matrix, blast matrix, and Butter matrix. And for the phase shifter, usually use advanced digital signal processing device, and yeah, it's so costly, but so there are alternatives, which is using Rothman lens. You know, if you use Rothman lens, it's analog beamforming. So in the picture here, you can see maybe you wanna fit this beam port, so the radiation directs this direction. And if you you know, fed the beam port number 2, the direction can be you know, perpendicularly straight to the array antenna. Okay, why I use the Rothman lens? Because Rothman lens has the ability for wide scanning capability, and it usually has so wide bandwidth. Okay, and the objective of the research is to build beamforming network, which is using Rotman lens for 5 beams, which in the direction of -20 degree, -10 degree, and 0 degree, 10 degree, and 20 degree. And it works in the frequency of 2.45 gigahertz ISM band. And in this research, I also propose some novel modifications to enhance performance. It is to increase the gain and suppress the side lobe level. So it is the structure of the Rotman lens. Maybe there are beam contours, and a report contour. There are some formulations, but if I explain it, this will make the time shorter. So we have the parameter to be employed to this research list in the table. So, and maybe this is the result. There are 5 beam ports and 6 array ports. These 5 beam ports is designed carefully to make the radiation to be in the direction of what I have mentioned before in the 5 directions. So about the proposed modified configuration, we have configuration 1, configuration 2, and configuration number 3. So configuration 1 is the very common configuration for Rotman lens. So the Rotman lens and array antenna. This is Rotman lens and this is the array antenna. They are in one plane. So then there are configuration 2, which Rotman lens and array antenna are folded 90 degree backward. And in the configuration 3, it is almost the same with the configuration 2, but you can see that the array is slightly different from configuration 2. It is, you can see this transmission line. The transmission line is this is the same. This have the same length, but just different approach. But yes, this is the same length. And the results shows that the Rotman lens have worked well for the beamforming purpose. So, the radiation pattern, which is resulted from the configuration 1, this is when the beam port 1 is excited. This is when the beam port 2 are excited. This is when the beam port 3 are excited. And this is the beam port 4 when excited. And this is beam port 5 when excited. You can see that the difference from the configuration 1, configuration 2, and configuration 3. So that the radiation from the configuration 1 is not so smooth, and from the configuration 2 it is become smoother, and configuration 3 it seems not really smooth, but yeah, it's quite smooth, but not as the configuration 3, but the value shows the different. Okay, this is the exact value of each configuration result. So configuration 1, the average setup level is minus 4.44, where the setup level in configuration 2 is minus 9.2, and in configuration 3 it is minus 10.02. So the setup level which has been resulted shows that the base is from configuration 3. The setup level is the lower the setup level is the better the setup level, and the gain, the higher the gain, the better the gain. So from the configuration 1, the gain is minus 1.37 dB, and from the configuration 2 it is minus 0.47 dB, and configuration 3 it is 0.49. So from configuration 2 to configuration from configuration 1 to configuration 3, there are you know, the gain is better 1 dB, the configuration 2 compared to configuration 1, and configuration 3 compared to configuration 1, the average gain is better, almost 2 dB. So the conclusion that the beam radiation pattern produced is better when the Rootman lens and array antenna are folded. And the best configuration to suppress the side lobe level in this research is almost 6 dB, and slightly increase the gain, it is 2 dB, is by arranging the transmission lines to have less bending and making the array element planar. Okay, that is for my presentations. You may ask.
I have a questions, if you allow me.
Okay, sure, please.
Just one short. What is the frequency used to communicate? You show in your first slide or something like this. Can you go there, please? Yeah, in this one. No, go back, please. No.
Next one.
Yeah, exactly. Here on the right side, you show multiple input, multiple output technology or something like this. And is the same frequency for each device here?
Okay.
Yes.
In this slide, I just want to describe about single beam and multi beam, because I see from the list that I'm not sure that you are have telecommunication background, and yes, it's 4G, is 5G. The frequency is different from what I research here.
Okay. I understood that, but on the multiple beam, you use the same frequency.
Yeah.
This one, 2.45.
Yes, you can see in this,
Okay. I think I understood. Thank you.
Okay.
No, really, I did. What Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sebastian, for the question. And I think if you're still interested and curious about the research, you may contact Mr. Rizky directly. Thank you. Pak Rizky, can you stop the screen share and let me take a picture of you? We still have, let me, okay, can you, would you move backward or you move the screen backwards a little bit, just a little bit?
Okay. Maybe.
Okay. Huh? Why can't I see you? What is he? Where are you? Wait.
Maybe the.
Okay.
I have to.
Yeah. Wait. Let me. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Go. Thank you very much, Pak Rizky. Mas Rizky, you're still young. Thank you for the presentation. And wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mas Rizky. Now, let's move to the last paper to be presented this session by Mr. Daniel Lagazo from Ateneo de Manila University, Philippines, presenting the paper entitled Condition-Based Monitoring and Anomaly Detection of Industrial Equipment Using Autoencoder. Mr. Lagazo?
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I cannot see. Let me pin your, where are you? Where are you? Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you please directly share your screen? That's fine.
Okay, I am setting up my screen. Sorry.
Okay.
Please
There you
give
go.
me a minute.
Okay.
Okay, I'm setting up now.
Can you?
Yes, hello, I'm setting up.
Okay. While you're setting up, I think you can
Okay, sorry.
give us a big smile because I like to take your picture. 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you. Please
Okay.
continue.
Okay, there we go. Okay, please let me know if you can see my share screen.
Still nothing. Still black. You have started the screen share, but we haven't seen. Yeah, okay, good.
Is it in full screen?
Yes.
Okay. There. Sorry. There we go. Sorry for the delay. Our project is entitled Condition-Based Monitoring and Anomaly Detection of Industrial Equipment using Autoencoder. And I'm the main author for this. My name is Daniel Lagazo, and I'm from the Department of Information Systems and Computer Science of Ateneo de Manila University in the Philippines. So here's the outline of my presentation. And here's a background, quick background. This is the equipment that we're going to monitor, that we monitored. This is the Rosendal, and its input is a wire, is the raw wire, copper, and then the output is the coated wire. So this is a very old equipment, 30 plus years old equipment. And it had 74 breakdown incidents back in 2019. And for this particular part of the equipment, the annealer, it is composed of four annealer pulleys. It had 12 breakdown incidents in 2019. So when we looked at the incidents, here's an example of the incident. They mentioned that they hear abnormal sound in the annealer, and the fix that was done after the incident is to replace the bearing and the timing belt. And then the downtime because of this incident is 1,440 minutes. Here's another part of the equipment. This is the wire drawing, and it had 15 breakdown incidents in 2019. And here's another example of the incident for this part. They heard unusual sound in this part of the equipment. So the fixes that were done are the replacement of the bearings. And for this incident, it went down for 720 minutes. So as you can see, the facility, they can't let their equipment go down because it affects their production. So because of this, we decided to deploy an acoustic recorder because we think that this is the best, or this is the appropriate um, sensor to use for the anomalies that are being reported. So here's our setup. We installed a commercially available power bank slash sound recorder there, as you can see here. And we set it at 32 kilohertz sampling rate, and it is capable of getting data for 6 days. So every 6 days we get the data manually, and then we clear the power the memory, and then we deploy it, and then we process the audio data that we got. We converted them into chromograms. So here you can see a chromogram representation of 4 hours worth of recording of the equipment. So this is the actual equipment sound when you convert it into chromogram. So the chromogram, it just a bit of a background, it allows us to visualize the amount of energy, this one, that is present per pitch class. So you can see here 24 rows. Those are the 24 pitch classes that we configured. So in this particular configuration, there are 24 pitch classes. So chromograms in the literature, it's usually used for speech recognition, music classification, and more recently, it's being used for malware detection. So for you to understand more about chroma and STFT, so here's a piano key C3. And when you represent it using STFT, this is the representation. And when you use this pitch-based log frequency spectrogram, that is the representation. And then finally, our chosen representation, what you saw before, this is the chromogram representation. So after processing all of our data, we normalize it. We look for the global minimum and the global maximum for all the recordings, and we found the global minimum to be a little over 0, and the global maximum is around 190,000. So we normalize all of our chromograms that we will use for training the AI using those values. So here's a visualization of how we prepared our data set. So we had 3 batches of recording. First one is this year, January 16, and then April, the most recent one, are April 7 to 13 and April 23 to 29. And that's the timeline. The blue one is the normal data set that we got during the early phase of our recording. Those red ones are downtimes, and we use those downtimes for our anomaly data set. And then the orange ones are some more downtimes. And then for April, there's a big downtime here in April 26. So there were major repairs that were done there. And here's a background about the autoencoder, the machine learning technique that we're using. So the encoder has two phases. The autoencoder has two parts. The encoder, which is the, in our case, we set it 201,770 trainable parameters. And the encoder will try to learn the robust representation of the input data, which is the chromogram in its latent space. And then the decoder, it is designed to restore the image back into the, or restore the latent space representation back into the original input image. So here's the actual result. So the input is on the left. Those are 4 training samples. Those are 4 normal equipment sound. And then here's the reconstructed image. So as you can see there, because of the bottleneck in the middle that you see, the Z, the AI is only able to learn generic or general representation of the image. So it cannot um, reconstruct those small details. And then here's 4 samples from our anomaly data set. So as I mentioned before, this is during the downtime. This is what the equipment looks like when it's down. So those are 4 samples or 4 seconds of data, chromogram data on the left. And then if you let the autoencoder deconstruct the image, the input image, you can see that it is unable to reconstruct it properly. Here's the anomaly detection technique that we are using. So here's the input, here's the output, and here's the reconstruction error formula. So for every pixel X in the input, we subtract the output pixel Y, and then we get its square, and then we get its summation of all of them, and then we divide it by the total number of pixels. So basically, we're computing the difference of those 2 pixels. And if there's a higher reconstruction error, there's a higher probability of it being an anomaly. Here's the second anomaly detection method that we're using. It's called the density score. So on the right, you can see an image of the density scoring method. And our chosen kernel density estimator is Gaussian. So that basically describes the function. And then the bandwidth here controls the radius of the circle. So the bigger bandwidth, the bigger the radius. And the bigger bandwidth means that there might be more green points, neighboring points that will be covered. And the distance metric that we're using to calculate the density score is Euclidean. So basically, Euclidean, you compute the distance from the center of the circle, or the point of interest, distance of it from the green circles inside the bandwidth, inside the gray area. And there are other available kernels in the sklearn library that we're using in Python. And those are those kernels. So here's the equation for the density score. Basically, we have the function k, which is the kernel density estimator. And then we have the bandwidth h, which controls the size of the gray circle. And then we have the point of interest, our data point. And then we're going to compute its Euclidean distance from all the green points inside the gray circle. And then the summation of that is the density score. So a lower density score means that it will be a more negative score. or lower density means it's a lower negative or more negative density score, which means that it is more likely to be an anomaly. So the broad topic of kernel selection, we chose the kernel because it's the most common, the Gaussian. So we didn't do any studies, more studies on or deeper study on the other kernels, and we chose Euclidean because this is the default default function in the library. And then bandwidth optimization, we didn't perform any sorry, we didn't perform any study on the bandwidth. So we just set the bandwidth arbitrarily to 0.05, and we acknowledge that there might be an effect on the the data or the results if we are going to optimize the bandwidth. So here's the latent space representation of all our data points. So like I mentioned before, the latent space, it it tries to reduce the number of all of those pixels. It is being reduced to these two variables, the x and the y axis. So all of our data, when reduced to these two variables, this is how it looks like. So all of our training data or normal data are in blue. Those are the normal equipment sound when it's healthy. And then when it's down, that's the red. Those are the red data points, the anomaly. And then for the rest of our January data this year, those are the orange. And then for April, that's the black. And then for your reference, the kernel density with the bandwidth 0.05 is the green. So we performed another study on the effect of varying thresholds. So you can see the threshold, the red horizontal line on the bottom chart, the density score chart. So we can still change that threshold, and it affects the F1 and accuracy, F1 score and accuracy of the training and the anomaly data set. So we found that at 1.5 threshold, we got the highest F1 and accuracy for the blue and the red data points. And then we did the same study on the reconstruction error, the other anomaly detection method. Here's the reconstruction error. So like what I said before, the higher reconstruction error results to a higher probability of anomaly. So in this case, we found that at 0.021, we had it's not the best F1 score. It's a little lower than 0.022. But since we want our anomaly detection to be strict, we want that at those small values of anomalies, we want to flag the facility already. So we set it at 0.021. So here's a case study. This is an actual downtime incident. On the graph on the left, you can see the downtime incident at around 12,000 second or sample. So before 12,000, 1200, sorry, 12,000. That's the anomaly at around that time. So before that, before the incident at that time, we started looking for pre-downtime anomalies, and we found 853 pre-downtime anomalies. This is crucial because these anomalies might help us prevent the downtime or predict it before it happened. So if you look at the latent space, those are where those points are. And then for our other anomaly detection method, the density score, it's basically almost similar. but we found less less anomalies, pre-downtime anomalies, around 19 pre-downtime anomalies, and those are the green points that you see there. So those small green points are the pre-downtime anomalies. And there's the summary of the result. And this is another incident due to a breakdown, the major breakdown that you saw in my first few slides, the big orange box there.
Excuse me, Mr. Alagazo, 1 minute left.
Okay, this is the second to the last slide. So this is the result. We found 5,888 anomalies, and those are the yellow points. And then for density score, those are the green points, 1,344 anomalies there. And then for our future work, we want a deeper study on kernel selection. We want bandwidth optimization, and we want to build a fault classifier for using this research as the foundation. And then for our deployment, we want to commercialize our setup by using a Raspberry Pi, this AI compute stick, which will do the inferencing, and then finally, this microphone. Thank you.
Okay, finish?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. So,
I'm sorry for the...
that's fine. Okay, time is over for this session. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Big applause for every one of us. Hope this session has enlightened everybody in this room. We can go back to the main room after this to join the plenary session because we'll have two great keynote speakers today.